Hey team, happy Wednesday. I am here with your update and I have a big one today. So first I'm going to go through just some quick little announcements that are kind of reminder style and ask for your immediate grasp and then compliance on those things. And then I want to get into talking about appointment flow. But some updates for you. Okay, we are finished with the hardware portion of our IT conversion to be on the NBA system. That went really well. I understand that there are still some frustrations floating around with using the instant messaging system. So I've asked Charlie to create you a little shortcut video, just a reminder on how that works and how to use it so that we're sure that we're having everyone use it appropriately so that we can really fairly judge if it's working or not. Now, I want you to tell me if it's not working, because if it isn't, I have a problem with that, and we will replace it. We'll go back to side notes, but giving it a fair shot, I think it's really critical right now because it does have more capabilities than we're used to, and I mean, the emojis alone, right? Like seller. So want to make sure that we give it a fair shot. So please look at that video. We're not going to assign it. Just know if you're having a struggle, go watch that video. Watch it anyways. It's going to be great because Charlie made it. Okay, next thing I wanted to go over is our check accepting policy. I apologize. I was vague on this before when I said don't accept checks. Sometimes you can accept checks. Here's the firm up of that. I'll write it in an SOP and publish it where it needs to go. But for you to have this today, for clarity and closure, here's the policy. We do not accept checks as a form of payment, except 5-star clients. 5-star clients, those are the stars that show across the top of a client record. Some people say they look like flowers. We're calling them stars. They're red. If you see 5 of them, you can take a check. If you see somebody whose account is highlighted in the teal blue color, that indicates that it is okay for them to be billed and not have to pay their invoice on the day that we created it. We can accept checks from those people because what happens is we mail them a statement and then they mail a check back, right? So that's the only way to do it, is we'll have to take checks. So what I'm saying is, because we will accept checks on these rare occasions, this is like, we're talking about 5% or less of our total client base that we'll end up taking checks for. So on that rare occasion, you'll see that checks will still be a payment type in Avamark because we have to apply that to their balance. But other than that, we don't accept checks. Our website will say no checks accepted. Our new client forms, no checks. Checks will not be accepted. If you have a client who doesn't meet the criteria of 5-star or is in teal blue, you cannot take a check from them, any other form of payment. So that's the firmed up policy. Of course, exceptions exist. So you can ask for permission on those things, but it's going to be rare, and we're going to remind you that they have to follow in this criteria. We will never accept a new client check, so just don't ever ask. Hopefully that firms that up for you so you have enough information to go forward confidently. The next thing that I wanted to remind you of is last week we talked about how now we have a shared scans folder. And I said, hey, we're going to really try and make this work as long as it doesn't get cluttered. It got cluttered. Problem. Please fix that. You have to go in and delete things when you're done with them. Don't just let them live in that folder that's inappropriate. It's very cluttered. I put out a message earlier this week, the same thing with the shared documents drive that we have now. It's cluttered. It makes it impossible to find what you're looking for when you're trying to work efficiently and quickly. So fix that. The next thing I wanted to remind you about is forward booking. Forward booking is the concept of when a client and patient are with us and we've given them our recommendations for services and they've done them. We're concluding an appointment. Forward booking is booking their next appointment. You really owe it to people because we are their guides. We're the pet's advocate. You have to look a client directly in the face and say, we need to see your pet back next at this time. A lot of you think that it's obvious, but pet owners don't know. I'm going to take a leap here and equate it to getting your oil changed in your vehicle. These are two drastically different concepts. I get that. Pets are not cars. However, to an owner, it's as complex as caring for a car if you're not a mechanic. So, your mechanic tells you, they put a sticker on your car that says, come back in 3,000 miles or 3 months, or whatever the circumstances is. They say next time you come, you gotta change that air filter, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. This is the experience because they know that the majority of the public are ignorant about how to care for this, and they know that they're the trusted professional. You're the trusted professional. The majority of the public, your clients, are ignorant about what their pets need. It is your job and your responsibility to educate them on that. And sometimes it has to be as plain as saying, okay, this is what we did today as a recap. The next time that we see you in 6 months, we're going to need to do this. I want to make your appointment now, and go ahead and make that appointment. Do it for vaccines. Do it after you clean their teeth. Do it after they're spayed. You have to make their next appointment so that they know when to come back. Here's the other good thing that it does for us as a practice. You have to remember that we're a business. Things don't just magically happen and fall in place. There's a ton of strategy that we put out there. So part of my job is I judge how much we should put into marketing or how much effort we should put into something. I judge when we should add staff or add veterinarians based on how full our appointment calendar looks. The more full that you put it, the less marketing that I do so that I don't overwhelm us, and the more veterinarians that we hire. Fill the appointment calendar so that we can appropriately gauge what's going to happen. It tells us how to pace ourselves. So you have a responsibility in two directions right now to make this happen. You have a responsibility to the client to advocate for their pet and to get that scheduled so they know what to do and they can do pet care right. And then you have a responsibility to the practice, your employer, to fill an appointment calendar and set the pace so that we can operate in a really healthy way and we can be responsive and make a really comfortable work environment for you. We can offer great client and patient care. It all kind of clicks together and it hinges on your control of that, okay? So it's really important for those reasons for you to make the pet's next appointment. I'm counting on each department to have a hand in this. The resort. Promote the hospital. Make sure that clients have their next appointment scheduled and that they know when it is and what it's for. And if not, you can connect them with a team member who can help you figure that out for them. Doctors. Be very clear in the exam room on what you want that client to do for that patient, and you can almost communicate directly with your nurse by saying, hey, can you get them an appointment scheduled in 6 months? I want to do this or that. Nurses, make that happen. If your doctor doesn't give you the prompt, it's on you. You are the pet's advocate. Do that. Customer care team, reinforce this at the front desk when they're leaving. Look and see, hey, there was a next appointment scheduled for you, or I don't see a next appointment. Can we go ahead and get that booked? Everybody should put that in the plan after a patient's seen, when they should be seen next. That way, in case the owner declines and they miss all these opportunities that I've just painted out for you, or they decline all those opportunities, when they call back and they've decided to make it happen for their pet, or they've connected with this information, that we can reinforce when it needs to happen and stay on point with filling that appointment calendar. This is a team effort, and it's everyone's job for those two reasons that I told you about. For advocating for the patient's care needs and educating the client, and for our business to remain stable and efficient. So you got to do this. Okay, Next thing I wanted to talk about, I'm actually really excited to see this coming, is October 16th at 6:30 p.m. We are going to try this out. So this isn't something that we're going to promise to offer forever, but we're going to try it and see if we can make it work. We've partnered with a counselor to offer grief counseling sessions, kind of like a group grief therapy for people who have lost their pets. Now, there's no timeline. Grief is different for everybody. So we're not just going to educate clients who have recently lost pets, although they're certainly welcome. And we're not just going to educate those who have lost pets in the past, although they're welcome. And we're not just doing it for our clients, it's for the general public. And that includes you, our team members. So you're welcome to come to this session. We're going to co-host it, is how it's coming out. We're co-hosting it with this therapist, and we're doing it at the main branch of the library. That's the downtown library branch on Congress. Amber's made some really great looking infographic kind of flyers going around. It's going to go in our newsletter. We're going to email it to clients, and it's a welcomed event. I just wanted to let you know that that's coming up in about a month in October, and it's something really to look forward to. And you're very welcome to participate yourself as an employee, as a pet owner, as a community member. You're welcome. And you certainly are welcome to share this information with clients who you think would benefit from it in a tasteful way. All right, coming up next, we have settled on the new resort software, Ginger, that's coming down the pipeline here in just a couple of weeks. Our go live date for that is October 9th. We're going to have training sessions before that. We'll have a go live date, and then we're going to have some support days where we'll actually have some NVA and Ginger team members who are here in our practice, making sure things go smoothly. It'll be somewhat like the impact that they had when they were here fixing issues after moving our hardware around. However, this will be much less disruptive because it'll be a nice clean end and a nice clean start, and then we'll help team members. But the team members who are going to be impacted are really every customer care team member and every resort team member, the members of the grooming van, our administrative staff. Nurses work pretty minimally in the software right now, but you will definitely feel some of the impact because there will be other things happening. As we get closer, we'll be able to share some exact times and days and show you what some of these things are going to look like. But right now, I just wanted you to kind of get that on your mind calendar, that it's coming forward, finally moving away from Atlantis into Ginger, and it's going to be phenomenal for our practice. Guys, I get that change is scary and that it sucks because we're busy and it feels like this is a break from normalcy is an issue. But I don't want you to think about it that way. This is refreshing. This is an improvement. So yes, it's a short burden of discomfort, but long term, it's recomforting. It sets us up for success. It's a big improvement. It's a way that we can give better care, better service, be more efficient, be happier ourselves. It just all clicks in place. So we're biting the bullet right now on a lot of these bigger changes, and knowing that they're going to pay dividends tenfold in just a couple of weeks. Okay, this is a note just to make sure that everybody's understanding. When you're printing Purina feeding guides from the Purina website now, you must export them to a PDF so that it prints on one page. Otherwise, it's coming out in multiples, which is very wasteful, and it's also not a clean look for the client to get that. So export it to a PDF, and then it'll print on one page. That's a note for everybody because I know we all have a hand in that. Also, earlier this week, I have to share this. I'm not trying to be negative today, but this one really got me. I think that we're making a habit out of leaving messes for our overnight team, and you would never do that if you understood their workload and you understood their perspective, and you would never do that if you understood the faces that go with cleaning up messes that you leave. There's a difference here in leaving a work mess and asking for help cleaning it up because it's just a team responsibility to maintain our workplace. And there's a big, big difference in leaving a kitchen related mess for others to come and clean up. That's just careless and it's tasteless and it won't be tolerated at all. Do better. Know the faces, know the names of the people who cleaned up after you. I'm talking about Maggie as a nurse, Amanda, Brittany, Kurt. I know I'm going to leave somebody out who works overnight, Tyler, Denise. These are people who are your team members who are very, very valuable. They work with 2/3 less staff than we work with during the day to deal with twice the issues, if not 3 times the issues. They're caring for 16 to 20 hospitalized patients overnight with 1 doctor, most of which are an emergency basis, most of which are sick, many of which don't make it through the night. They're carrying the burden of that. And then they're going in the break room and throwing away your moldy food, cleaning up your lasagna mess, throwing away cups and drinks that you've left on the table throughout the day, magazines that you left on the table after thumbing through. They're taking out the trash that got left behind in the break room because it wasn't full but it wasn't empty. They are scraping the scraps that you left that was supposed to be a group meal, but we weren't conscientious enough, or that maybe you took some home to your family instead of leaving some here. Not good. Not good behavior, especially following the Mind Your Manners video that Dr. Patrick put out that we all felt really, really impacted by. And we felt relief that we were hearing that message on our behalf. But this is a behavior that was being captured in that. This is an unkind, unconscientious thing. It's got to stop. So I want to pull your attention to it. It's really, really important. I'm not saying this just to advocate for our team who work in these rough conditions. I'm saying this to advocate for these people who are not being treated fairly in our workplace, who are equally important. They're no more important, they're no less important. They're equally important as everybody else. And they don't get a chance to say this. It would have been considered inappropriate if they said it, but I'm saying it. Do better. Don't make me say this again. I'll call you out individually. The next thing that I wanted to move to, the biggie of this week, is appointment flow. I've mentioned this a couple of times, so I really want to bring this to life, and I want to do it quickly. I want to start this tomorrow. Over time, as our practice has grown and we've gotten bigger, we've added doctors, we've certainly added operating hours, expanded in every sense and in every direction. We've started inappropriately staffing our practice and created some expenses that we can't maintain. Now, this is not the beginning of a layoff speech. No. That's different. That's not what we're doing here. This is a beginning of a speech where I say, we've been ineffective at putting the right people in the right place at the right time. So what I want to do is I want to leave things the way that they are right now, but I want to make sure that on a micromanaged level, we have people doing the right thing in the right place at the right time. So I'm calling this Appointment Flow Efficiency Initiative, right? Or for short, we're just saying we're addressing our appointment flow. I've made a document that I'm going to attach in Slack after I post this video, and I'm probably going to put that dang thing everywhere. I want you to read it, and I want you to read all parts. Don't just skim down to the part that you think affects you. Read the whole thing, because I've broken it out by hospital-based services here is what this kind of focuses on. But I want everybody to read it so that you know what we expect about the flow. Here's the gist of it. Without micromanaging these things, we're taking too long to do certain tasks because we have that luxury. We have 2 people in the exam room. We have people outside the exam room. We have enough people who can stand against a wall and hold a clipboard and feel important, like they're waiting on their doctor when that's not necessary. That clipboard doesn't need to be held. Danielle put up some bins for you. So you are now free to go somewhere else and care for a patient. You are now free to follow my list of micromanaged tasks where I can tell you where you need to be at a certain time, what your role is in making sure that we can efficiently move through our doctor's schedule. And yes, for appointment nurses, I am reducing the amount of nurses that I put on an appointment team per day because we have too many. And too many hands in the pot are creating mistakes. So we're taking a step back in that sense as well. We're going to be adding an extra nurse who works in the lab during the daytime to help with filling prescriptions, managing lab work, entering results, preparing feeding guides or handouts and so on. And that person's going to kind of float around, but we'll basically have 2 nurses per appointment team. And we'll gradually go on to that over the next few days and the next few weeks. The overview of it, the real crux of the thing is that we need the nurses to be in the exam room for less time. So we're extracting history taking as a responsibility of the nurse and giving it as a responsibility to the customer care team in 3 phases. It's broken out. So the call center team will have a phase when they make an appointment, and then they'll have another phase when they confirm the appointment. Lastly, if it doesn't happen on those, it'll happen at the front desk, and then finally the nurses. And I've also segmented out our glossaries to say save for nurse, save for doctor. Here's the thing, this may be worrying you as you read it, or you may be challenging this idea. I know I would. I question a lot of things that are different just to make sure I fully understand them. So I totally agree with you doing this. But I'll have to say, we're spending too much time in the exam room. Clients are telling their story 3 times, and the doctor still needs to be the one to get that history so they can catch every verbal detail, every influx of the client's voice. They can catch their body language and their expressions. They can know what their frustration is. And moreover, they can ask the right questions and complement the answers that they get to be really thorough and direct. Also, they need that as bonding time with the client. That's what makes us us, and we've really drifted away from that over the years by making it so robotic by calling them questions instead of saying, we need to figure out what the history of this patient is so we can customize a treatment plan to them. That's a doctor's job. Nurses, your job is technical. You're technicians. We call you nurses because you do it in a compassionate, nursing, healing way. But you're technicians. Your job is to go in and make sure that the technical details are taken care of, make sure that you get samples and vitals, record keep, and support your doctor in whatever kind of technical service that they need. Doctors, it's your job to be available to appointments. Don't keep appointments waiting. Don't keep nurses waiting because you're not finished with what you're doing on the computer or you're not finished with the conversation. It's inappropriate, and that's what's also contributing to our wait times in the exam room. My ultimate goal over this is not to reduce the number of team members that we have. This may be a symptom because I suspect that we have too many people here at one time. But don't mistake this. My ultimate goal is to have a patient only in the exam room for the amount of time that's on the appointment calendar. So if they're here for a 20-minute recheck, they should not be in an exam room for 30 minutes. We don't stagger appointments on our calendar. We do one after the other. And until we decide to do it differently and have enough space to do it, this is the method that I trust we need to follow. So the ultimate goal, everybody get this in your mind. If an appointment's on the schedule for a certain amount of time, that's the amount of time that they have in the exam room. So you better make it worthwhile and be the most efficient that you can be. And it takes everybody working together to set us up to where we can do that. The only things that we are extracting that are not addressed on the responsibilities list is Trupanion. Now, I understand that Trupanion is educated about in the exam room. I'm making an executive decision that that's not necessary unless a client directly asks you within the exam room. We're going to be educating clients about Trupanion in a self-service way. So we're going to have a poster in the lobby. We're going to have the certificates in the lobby where clients can grab them and do them themselves. We'll have links on our website, on our app, and on the TVs in the lobby up front. So clients will be educated in Trupanion indirectly, and I think that that's the most appropriate way to go about it, since the majority of our clients aren't enrolling or aren't having the success that they thought with it anyways. This will be a great way for them to self-serve. We're just here to answer questions if they do ask us directly. So don't feel like you have to avoid it, but also don't feel like you have to include it. Everything else that we talk about in rooms has a place. If I miss something, please call me out on it. I want this to be smooth, and I want it to be consistent, and I want it to happen 24 hours a day. So I'm asking you to get started. I want to begin this tomorrow, Thursday, which is the 19th. I'll be floating around the lab for a couple of days to make sure that we get started appropriately. I'll coach you in the moment so that we can make great habits and be consistent, and also that so we can adjust ourselves to find the right fit, because what I have right now is just a plan. It's up to you to bring it to life. Okay, long video. I apologize, but we're on our way to great. This is a good to great movement, and sometimes that takes time, so I really appreciate you putting it in. I'm here for you if you need. Great job. Thank you for your patience. You're awesome. Have a great week.